And for the Suns, they've chosen the Dallas Mavericks. And I mean, honestly, in some ways,
Who do you think their rivalry should be?
I was just going to say, who else would I pick?
Can't pick the Lakers because the Lakers have the Clippers.
Right. The Nuggets? Would I pick the Nuggets as the Suns' rival? I mean, they met in the playoffs last year, but I think
it's a good one. They've met in the playoffs twice in the last 3 years.
I think the rivalry is about Book versus Luka. It's not so much about these two
But what about history and past? I mean, there's history with Denver. I mean, the Antonio McDyess and Jake Kidd and Nash, they were all there, and they wouldn't let him in. It was snowing, and
it was a long time
let
ago.
me in.
It was a long time ago. That was a long time. I think recent history, I think, matters a little bit more than something that happens 15 years ago in the rivalry.
Who's the Nuggets rival?
Who would the Denver Nuggets rival be right now? That's a damn good question. I have no idea. Based off of the way
Mitch is a Nuggets fan, he can't even answer that question.
Based off of the way they ran roughshod through the NBA's Western Conference, I don't know if they have one. Who's their rival?
As of right now, I would probably say Suns, but then close second/third, I would say Minnesota and OKC because they share a division, so they play a lot.
Okay. I don't know. That's a good answer. I don't know what the correct answer to that is. Anyway, the powers that be have chosen, and look, you get it. That playoff series between the Suns and the Mavs still resonates 2 years later. All right, it really does. A lot happened in that series. The meme, the Luka special, Luka barking when he came off the court after Game 5, all of that stuff, and then the Christmas Day game and everything. The Mavs. I want to spend a couple minutes talking about the Mavs.
Okay,
we're almost coming up to the year anniversary of them acquiring Kyrie Irving, and you and I both saw a story today on ESPN.com, probably in part to create content around Rivalry Week and promoting tonight's game because it's on ABC, for goodness sakes, about the Suns and the Mavs. And the whole slant of the story was, boy, Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic, that has really worked for the Dallas Mavericks.
Then you look at the record.
Has it? Has it really worked? I read the whole article, and I know how I was supposed to feel. Like, I was supposed to feel, man, Kyrie going to the Mavericks was the best thing that could have happened to him and them. And it left me wondering, I don't know if it really has. I don't know if it's worked. They're 12-10.
The gamble is paying off.
Has it?
It took some time for the combination to form clutch chemistry, and injuries have interrupted their momentum. But Dallas' star duo is the primary reason the Mavs are in 6th place in the Western Conference.
Exactly.
Like, right?
That's exactly it.
But Dallas' star duo is the primary reason the Mavs are in 6th place in the West.
Doncic
one game away from a play-in tournament.
The Mavericks' record with the duo this year and the games they've played together is 12-10.
Yo, 12-10. Wow. Yeah.
It kind of now. Look, we are.
How about this one? The Mavericks are 12-9 when the two of them play. They're 12-9 when they don't play.
Well, that's where I got the 12-10 from.
Oh,
because they didn't. This was written before they lost to Boston.
Okay,
so I did
Boston game.
I added the Boston game. 12-10. Or 12-10. Now, look, pot, kettle, black. Yes, absolutely. Because you could look at the Suns and have the same conversation. You could look at us and look at our basketball team and say, well, I mean, has it worked? I don't know, man. There haven't been a lot of games together, and they're starting to have some success, but there's just not a whole lot of games to point to. And fair, all of that is fair. And you can hold the mirror up to the Phoenix Suns and have basically the same conversation. I'll tell you this right now: a big 3 of KD, Book, and Beal versus a big 2 of Luka and Kyrie. I know who I'd take.
Sure.
I know who I'd rather be in a moment like that. Now, is Luka the greatest of all of those 5 players are on the when they're on the floor together? I don't know. We'll find out tonight. We'll see. I tend to think not, but we'll see.
There's also the pressure of a playoff game and the situation, and who does it affect more? I mean, a regular season game on Christmas Day or on January 24th is a hell of a lot different than a playoff game in a 7-game series. You remember when they played the Mavericks and lost them 2 years ago, and the Suns went up 2-0, and we're like, this thing is like, I don't know if the Mavericks even win a game here. And then they won the series. And you're like, wow, they made the adjustments. And they've had a good game plan against Booker, a good game plan against Durant. We'll see now, because I think the Suns are, everything's clicking on all cylinders with the big 3. So we'll see. But the Mavericks have always had a pretty good defensive game plan for those guys.
They have, and the hope is that with Bradley Beal, it's just one too many guys for them to figure out to how to guard, because that was always kind of the problem in the past, was that the matchups were there and the Suns just didn't have any other options. Now, I will say this in credit to the Dallas Mavericks organization. Here's where it has worked. This time a year ago, Kyrie Irving was toxic. I mean, like you don't want this guy, man. You don't want this guy anywhere near your basketball program, because remember, at that time we're coming off of trade demands from the Nets, and he's not going to play because of vaccination mandates, and who's going to want this guy on his team and who's going to want to pay him. I'll give the Mavs credit for this and Kyrie Irving credit for this. You haven't heard a peep out of Kyrie Irving in a year. You know, so in that regard of taking a chance on an uber-talented basketball player, one of the most talented basketball players
and they needed to do that
in the NBA, and they needed to do that to keep Luka happy. In that regard, it has worked great. It has worked great because he has not been a problem for them at all.
Listen, they were 5-11 in the games Irving and Doncic played together last season, right? You go look at Rudy Gobert with Minnesota when he got there. They didn't. And how about Kevin Durant with the Suns? Like, they didn't win anything last year.
Nope.
Like, a lot of the Kurt Schilling with the Diamondbacks the first year when he came in and bucked
time.
It takes time.
It takes time. Yeah.
Like, a lot of it does take time, and you just automatically think it's just going to work. Doncic and Kyrie didn't work last year. The Nuggets, one of the things about the Nuggets, man, they've been together for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, how many years ago was the Aaron Gordon trade? Like, their key players have been together for a number of years. It's a big factor for them.
And even that didn't work right away for the Denver Nuggets.
No,
even
because the day they got Aaron Gordon, I think the next day Jamal Murray got hurt.
Yeah, right. And that's where there is a little bit of hypocrisy in us calling out the Mavs, when the truth of the matter is that it's still really early in the process for Luka and Kyrie, just like it's really early in the process for the Suns' big three to pass any judgment on whether it's going to work or not. We'll see later on in the season. We'll see as starting tonight and more into the season as they have more time together. Do the Mavs morph into a real threat with those two guys, or is it just not gonna work? And so far it hasn't worked great, but the big three so far, that's been kind of hit and miss too for the Phoenix Suns. We'll see. It is interesting though that the whole thing was done basically to appease Luka,
because they don't want to lose him in free agency.
They don't want to lose him in free agency, and they needed
so they had to get him another star.
Yep, to make sure he was happy and that he did not go anywhere. That will be the big test to see whether that's worked or not. Because if they don't win, he might decide he wants to leave.
And they let Brunson go because they didn't want to have that contract and be tied to that money.
Yep, no doubt about it.
Thanks for watching Burns and Gambo. Click to see more from the guys and hit the button in the middle to subscribe so you never miss a video from Arizona sports.